He asked me what kind of man I liked, and for the first time, I didn't laugh it off. Most guys joke their way out of heartbreak. Me? I joked my way out of being seen. You into guys like Chris Evans, or more like Harry Styles? He asked, half laughing, like it was just banter. I should have laughed. I always did. But that day, my throat closed around the punchline. I met Jordan Lewis on a Thursday that shouldn't have meant anything. The coffee shop was almost empty except for him, hoodie pushed halfway up his arms, AirPods in, sketching something in a battered leather notebook. I sat 3 tables away, pretending to scroll my phone, stealing glances when he wasn't looking. He wasn't even my type, or at least the type I claimed I didn't have. He looked up. Our eyes met. And instead of doing what I normally did, glance away, act busy, pick up my cold brew like it was more interesting than any man alive, I smiled. He smiled back. I don't remember who moved first. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was him. All I know is we were sitting across from each other 10 minutes later, him sketching a caricature of the barista who gave everyone the wrong order, me pretending my hands weren't shaking from nerves I couldn't name. You draw? I asked. He nodded. I breathed too. That was Jordan. Always making everything sound like poetry, even when it wasn't supposed to be. I told him I worked in advertising, which sounded cooler than saying I wrote slogans for snack brands. He didn't laugh, which made me like him more. What kind of guys do you like? He asked out of nowhere, looking straight into me. I froze. My chest locked up. He said it so casually, like it was nothing. Like I was someone who said things like that out loud. Like I was someone who could. I almost laughed. Almost defaulted to some ironic answer, Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool, but only if he's wearing the mask, but something about the way Jordan was looking at me made me pause. He was giving me a way out. But also, a way in. And for the first time, I didn't run. I don't really know, I said, voice low. I haven't thought about it. Jordan didn't push. He just nodded. Like that was enough. Like I was enough. We started hanging out after that. Casual stuff. Coffee. Movies. Nights talking on the fire escape outside my apartment, where the air was cooler and the world felt smaller. I told him about growing up in a Vietnamese-American family in Kansas City, where feelings were something you buried, not aired out like laundry. He told me about growing up black and queer in Atlanta, where silence could mean safety or loneliness. You ever kiss a guy? He asked one night, his voice barely audible over the sound of distant traffic. I didn't answer right away. I wanted to, I admitted. But no. Never. He nodded slowly. Would you want to? My heart jackhammered so loud I was afraid he'd hear it. Yeah, I whispered. I would. He leaned in. Not rushed. Not greedy. Like he was offering me something I could take or leave. His lips brushed mine, tentative then stayed. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake in the dark, fingers to my lips, wondering if I'd finally crossed a line or finally stepped into the truth. The next morning, I texted him. Me, can we talk? Jordan, always. We met at the same coffee shop where we first talked. This time, I sat across from him and didn't hide my nerves. I don't know what this is, I said. Or what I'm doing. But I don't want to pretend anymore. His smile was soft and sad all at once. You don't have to figure it out overnight. I reached for his hand. I'm not trying to figure it out. I just want to feel it. With you. He squeezed my fingers. Then let's just feel. But the world doesn't let you just feel when you've spent your whole life pretending. I told my sister first. Over dinner. I said, there's someone I've been seeing. She grinned. A girl or a guy? I didn't laugh. I said, a guy. His name's Jordan. Her smile faded just enough to notice. Oh, she said. Okay. That's okay. But it wasn't okay. My mom found out from a relative who saw us at a street fair, holding hands. She didn't speak to me for 3 weeks. When she finally did, it was only to say, I don't want this life for you. You know how hard it will be. I wanted to scream, I already have a hard life. This isn't making it worse. It's making it real. But I didn't scream. I just nodded. Swallowed my truth like I had so many times before. Jordan saw it in my eyes before I said anything. You can't keep shrinking for them, he told me one night after dinner. You don't owe anyone your silence. I looked at him, wondering how someone so brave could still love someone so scared. I'm trying, I said. I know, he whispered. And I'm still here. We fought the week after Pride. Not about anything big. Just everything. You say you're not hiding, but you still flinch when someone sees us in public, he said. You still haven't told your dad. You don't post about me. You don't even. It's not that simple, Jordan. It is. You just don't want to deal with the fallout. Because the fallout is my life. You don't know what it's like. He stepped back, stung. Don't you dare. Don't act like I haven't paid for who I am in ways you'll never understand. I wanted to take it back. All of it. But instead, I walked away. And for 3 weeks, I didn't hear from him. 3 weeks without him felt like being stuck in a room with no windows. I still went to work. I still ate, slept, showered. I even smiled when coworkers cracked jokes during lunch. But something inside me had been quietly, irrevocably removed, like someone reached into my chest and took the part that made life feel alive. And the worst part? I knew it was my fault. Jordan hadn't asked for too much. He had only asked for honesty, for the dignity of being seen. And I couldn't give him that. Not fully. Not when the weight of culture, of family, of all the years I'd spent pretending, still pressed down on me like a second skin I hadn't figured out how to shed. The night I decided to call him, it was raining, the kind of soft, melancholy rain that doesn't pound, but seeps in, like sadness. I stood by the window, phone in hand, the city lights blurring in the distance. I called. Voicemail. Hey. It's me. I paused. I've been thinking about what you said. About shrinking. About hiding. You were right. And I hated that you were right. I don't know how to be brave like you. But I miss you. That part one know for sure. I miss you so much it physically hurts. So. I don't know. Call me. Or don't. Just yet. Okay. I hung up. It was the most vulnerable thing I'd done in years. I didn't expect him to respond right away. But when the text came 2 hours later, my hands shook reading it. Jordan. Want to meet at our spot tomorrow? 7 p.m. The next evening, I showed up 10 minutes early. He was already there. Same hoodie. Same sketch pad. Same eyes that could still undo me without saying a word. We didn't hug. We didn't sit close. Just silence, for a while. And breath. Then he asked, why now? I don't know, I said honestly. Because I finally realized pretending doesn't protect me. It just keeps me from living. He turned the page in his sketchbook. A new drawing, 2 men sitting at a table. One laughing. One looking like he wanted to. Me and him. I still love you, I said quietly. He didn't look up. That's not the problem. I know. I love you, too," he whispered. "But I need to love myself enough not to wait around forever. I don't want you to wait. I want to walk toward you. Then do it." So I reached across the table and took his hand. And this time, I didn't flinch when people looked. Telling my dad was like standing in front of a moving train. I waited until we were on the back porch, the sky painted in dusty pinks and oranges. He was drinking his usual tea, staring off like he always did at the end of a long workday. "I need to tell you something," I said. He looked over. "You get someone pregnant?" I almost laughed. "Almost." "No," I said. "I'm seeing someone." He sipped. "A man." The air changed. Slower. Heavier. "I see." Silence stretched like an elastic band between us, pulling, threatening to snap. "I didn't tell you because I was afraid." "Afraid of what?" "That you'd stop looking at me like I'm your son." He didn't respond for a long time. Then, "I'm not happy about it." My heart cracked. "But I'm not going to stop loving you." And in that quiet, fractured moment, I exhaled years of shame. It didn't get easier right away. Some friends stopped calling. Some relatives started whispering. My mom still struggled, still asked if this was a phase, if I was sure. But I wasn't alone anymore. Jordan stood beside me in every room, even when people looked too long. Even when I trembled. Even when I wanted to crawl back into comfort and invisibility. And slowly, I started standing beside him, too. We started doing normal things couples do. Farmers markets. Sunday brunch. Movie nights curled up under a shared blanket. Toothbrushes side by side in the same cup. Arguments about nothing that meant everything. You always leave your socks on the couch, followed by makeup kisses on the kitchen floor. It felt impossible and ordinary all at once. But love, I learned, isn't about spectacle. It's about presence. One night, he asked, "Do you remember what you said the first time I asked you what kind of man you liked?" I smiled. I said I didn't know. And now? I turned to him. Now I know exactly the kind of man I like. Yeah. Yeah. The kind who doesn't let me run. The kind who makes me want to stop hiding. The kind who believes in me, even when I don't. He leaned into me, resting his head on my shoulder. I like that kind of man too. But even love doesn't shield you from loss. One Friday afternoon, Jordan got a call that his uncle had been attacked walking home from work, a hate crime. Brutal. Senseless. The kind that rips apart something inside you that may never fully heal. Jordan didn't cry right away. He went quiet. Still. As if silence could make it unreal. I stayed with him that night. Held him when he finally broke. "I'm so tired," he sobbed into my chest. Tired of fighting to exist. I didn't know how to fix that. So I didn't try. I just stayed. And sometimes, staying is the bravest thing love can do. Months passed. We grew. We healed. We had setbacks. We made up. And then, one ordinary morning over burnt toast and coffee, Jordan slid a tiny, crumpled napkin across the table. It said, "Move in with me." My hands trembled, but this time from something that wasn't fear. "Yes," I whispered. "Yes." If someone had asked me 2 years ago what kind of man I liked, I would have said, the fictional kind. Now I'd say, the kind who holds my hand even when it shakes. The kind who listens when I can't speak. The kind who never asked me to be anyone but myself. Because the truth is, he never needed me to be out or proud or perfect. He just needed me to be present. And I finally am. Living together was nothing like the movies. There were no cute montages of synchronized teeth brushing or shared Spotify playlists that magically played the right song. What there was, though, were grocery lists scribbled on sticky notes, laundry left too long in the dryer, mismatched schedules, and arguments over which side of the bed belonged to who. But beneath all that, there was something stronger than convenience. Something deeper than compatibility. It was comfort. I used to think love had to be thrilling adrenaline, passion, fireworks every night. But with Jordan, I learned that love could also be the silence after a long day, where neither of us needed to speak. It could be peeling oranges for each other in the kitchen, folding clothes on Sundays, or knowing the exact coffee order the other one needed after a hard week. Still, there were moments of friction. One night, I came home late after drinks with coworkers. I'd told them I was seeing someone, but I hadn't said it was a man. I'd changed the pronouns. I'd said they. Jordan was waiting in the apartment, curled up on the couch, face unreadable. "How was it?" he asked. I could feel it before he even said it. "You didn't tell them, did you?" I hesitated. I just didn't think it mattered. He looked at me like I'd just spoken a different language. "It matters to me. Jordan. No, listen. I know you're still finding your way. I've been patient, haven't I? But when you erase me like that, like I'm something you have to adjust the truth for, I feel like I'm disappearing." That hit me harder than I wanted to admit. "I wasn't trying to erase you," I said. "I was trying to protect something I wasn't ready to defend." He nodded. But his jaw stayed tight. "I love you," I said. "I know," he said. "But sometimes I wonder if you love me out loud." The next morning, I changed my phone wallpaper to a photo of us from Pride. Jordan, in a white tank top with glitter on his cheeks, kissing me on the jawline. Both of us laughing. That was step 1. Step 2 was showing up to my office's LGBTQ+ employee group mixer, not just to support, but to belong. And step 3. Telling the story. Out loud. As it happened. Without filters. Without they. Without fear. The first time I publicly called Jordan my boyfriend, we were at a friend's birthday party. Someone asked, "Who's that tall guy you brought?" I didn't look for a way out. I smiled. "That's Jordan. My boyfriend." The girl raised her eyebrows. "Damn, he's cute." "I know," I said. And I meant it. Later that night, Jordan said, "You didn't hesitate." "No," I said, sliding my hand into his. "I didn't." He kissed me in the middle of the dance floor, surrounded by people who didn't blink. It was small. But to us, it was everything. Still, not every part of life accepted us so easily. One afternoon, we were walking down Market Street hand in hand when a man passed by, stared, and spat on the ground at our feet. Jordan flinched. I froze. The man didn't stop. He muttered something under his breath, "Gots," and kept walking. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run after him and demand something, an apology, maybe. But all I could do was stand there. Jordan just pulled me close. "That wasn't about us," he said softly. "That was about him." But I saw the way his hands trembled afterward, and it made something inside me harden. Later that night, I asked, "How do you do it?" "Do what?" "Stay so calm. So whole. After all the bullshit." He leaned against the window, eyes tired. "I'm not always calm. I'm not always whole. But I am always proud. Because if I don't claim that space, then people like him win." He paused. "And so do your fears." One weekend in late October, we visited my family in Kansas City for the first time since we'd moved in together. It was tense at first. My mother didn't say much. My father was polite, distant. My sister tried to overcompensate with awkward, forced cheer. Jordan was gracious, calm. He helped with dishes. Complimented the food. Listened more than he spoke. The second night, my father pulled me aside in the garage. "You seem happy," he said. "I am. He's respectful. He's everything." Dad looked down at his shoes. "I still don't understand it. I probably never will." "I'm not asking you to understand. I'm asking you to accept." Silence. Then, quietly, "I'm trying." It wasn't a declaration. But it was a crack in the wall. A start. Later that week, my mother slipped Jordan a gift, a small jade pendant on a string. "It's not much," she said, not meeting his eyes. "It belonged to my father. For protection." Jordan blinked, surprised. "Thank you." She just nodded. "You take care of him." "I will." One night, lying beside him after everyone had gone to bed, I whispered, "You know you changed my life, right?" Jordan chuckled, half asleep. "That sounds dramatic." "I'm serious. I used to live like I owed the world an apology." He shifted closer. "And now? Now I just want to live like I deserve to." He kissed my temple, voice barely audible. "You always did." We got invited to speak at a university panel about queer identity and storytelling in media. I almost said no. Jordan almost didn't. But we said yes. We told our story, not the polished version, not the movie montage, but the raw one. The ache. The fear. The love. People listened. Some cried. Afterward, a young Vietnamese student came up to me, eyes glistening. "I've never seen someone who looks like me talk about being gay like that," he said. "Thank you." I hugged him tight. And for the first time, I realized something: my story wasn't just mine anymore. It belonged to anyone who had ever swallowed their truth. That winter, we flew to New York and walked through Central Park in falling snow. Jordan asked me what I wanted for Christmas. I told him, "Just more days like this." He grinned. "I can do that." But life, of course, throws curveballs. Jordan's company offered him a job, a big one. Senior creative director. But it was in Chicago. 6 months. Not forever. But enough to stir the question neither of us wanted to ask. "Do we try long distance?" he asked. "Or pause?" Pause. The word echoed like a warning bell. "I don't want to pause," I said. "I just don't want to lose us." He touched my cheek. "Then we don't pause. We stretch. And we hold on." So we did. FaceTime every night. Letters in the mail. Weekend flights. Missed calls. Long texts. Good days. Hard ones. Some nights, I missed him so much I'd lie in our bed and talk to the empty pillow like he could hear me. Some nights, he'd send me voice memos of songs that made him think of me. On our 1-year anniversary, he surprised me by flying back. He knocked on the door with a bouquet of sunflowers, my favorite. "I missed you," I breathed. He stepped inside, held me like the distance had only made us more certain. Then he reached into his coat pocket. A ring box. No words. Just a look. And I understood. I nodded, tears welling. "Yes," I whispered. "Yes, yes, yes." We didn't plan a big wedding. Neither of us wanted one. No long guest list. No fancy venue. Just 30 people in a garden behind a community center in Oakland, under a string of borrowed fairy lights and the smell of fried chicken from a local food truck. My mom made spring rolls. Jordan's cousin played guitar. My college roommate cried the moment she saw me in a white linen suit, holding the ring box like it held the whole world. We wrote our vows by hand. Mine were shaky. I used to think love was something other people were brave enough to have. That I'd always be the sidekick, the comic relief, the guy who made everyone laugh but never really felt safe enough to be seen. But then you walked into that coffee shop, and you didn't just see me. You waited. You stayed. You held open the door, again and again, until I found the courage to walk through it. And now, I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you always feel that safe, too. Jordan wiped his face on his sleeve and laughed. Okay, rude, he said to the crowd. How am I supposed to top that? But he did. You asked me once how I stay so whole. The truth is I don't. I break, too. I bend. I bleed. But loving you has made me feel like home isn't a place. It's a person. And you are that person. The kind of man I prayed I'd find, even when I didn't think I deserved it. We kissed. People clapped. And in that moment, surrounded by community, family, friends, we weren't just out. We were held. Married life brought new battles. The world didn't suddenly soften because we wore rings. There was the landlord who hesitated before renewing our lease after noticing we were two men. The co-workers who stopped inviting us to couples game nights. The insurance rep who assumed Jordan was my roommate. But there were also kids at the community center who looked up to us like we were something new, something possible. There were straight friends who asked sincere questions, who listened, who learned. There were old neighbors who brought us tamales at Christmas and said, "Your love reminds me of me and my husband, we've been married 40 years. And there was us. Always, us. Every Sunday morning, Jordan made pancakes, horribly lopsided ones that he insisted were rustic. I'd play old Vietnamese love songs on the speaker. We danced barefoot in the kitchen, laughing so loud the neighbors banged on the walls, then laughed with us. A year into marriage, I got a call from a producer at a local radio station. Your story, someone shared your panel talk online. It's going around. We'd love to have you and your husband come on the show. I said yes. But I was terrified. Live radio? What if I said something wrong? What if I embarrassed him? Jordan just squeezed my hand. Babe, we've survived family dinners. We can survive a radio mic. So we did it. We talked about queerness. About race. About learning to love each other without apology. About shame, and how it used to feel like skin until we peeled it off, together. And after the interview, a mother called into the station. Her voice trembled. My son is gay. He's 13. And he thinks he'll never be happy. But listening to you two, I think I know how to tell him he will be. I cried in the parking lot for 15 minutes. Jordan just held me. I started writing again. Not just slogans. Not just copy. Stories. Essays. Memoirs. I wrote about what it felt like to be a queer Vietnamese kid in a conservative town, about hiding, about loving a man with hands that never let me fall. And eventually, one of those essays went viral. Then another. Soon, I was being asked to speak at more universities. Bookstores. Panels. Every time I walked onto a stage, I remembered that scared, quiet boy I used to be, the one who couldn't even say, "I like men," out loud. And I carried him with me. He still lives inside me. But now, he's not afraid. Because now, he has words. Years passed. We traveled Portugal, Kyoto, Cape Town. Every new place gave us something we hadn't known we needed. One spring, we visited Hoi An, Vietnam. It was my first time back since I was 6. We walked through the lantern-lit streets, hand in hand. An old woman selling tea looked up at us, smiled. Vo Chong Ah, she asked. Jordan turned to me. What did she say? I laughed. She asked if we're married. He grinned. What did you say? I looked at the woman and nodded. De, Chong Con. She clapped, delighted. Dep doi quattroi. Jordan kissed my cheek. What did that mean? I blushed. She said we're beautiful together. And in that moment, with my husband's hand in mine, with my heritage wrapped around me like silk, I felt more me than I ever had. Life wasn't perfect. We lost people. We had bad years. One year, I lost my job. Jordan's dad had a stroke. We fought more. Laughed less. Drifted, then realigned. But every hard chapter ended the same way, with one of us whispering, still here. Because that's what love does. It stays. Even when it's not shiny. Even when it's hard. Even when the world says it doesn't belong. On our 10th anniversary, we hosted a dinner at our place, potluck style, with rainbow flags taped to the walls and a karaoke machine that wouldn't shut up. Halfway through dessert, someone asked Jordan, "So, what kind of man do you like?" He looked at me. Grinned. Then said, "The kind who laughs with his whole body. The kind who's scared but honest about it. The kind who took 30 years to say, 'I love you,' and now won't stop saying it. The kind who shows up. Every day. Even when it's hard." Then he kissed me, right there in front of everyone. And I kissed him back. Because now I laugh without hiding. Now I love without apology. Now, when someone asks me what kind of man I like, I just say, "That one. The one who never let go. And I never will." The end. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.